Okay, well, that's all we have for today. So thank you very much for joining us at the Treehouse, and thank you very much to GTV6. And I hope to see all of you at the library for these books or some of the other wonderful books we have in the collection. So thank you again from GTV6, the Glendale Public Library, and Treehouse Tales. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Daniela Yoon and I'm a 6th grader at Mountain Avenue Elementary School. I won last year's I Love My Neighborhood poster contest and I'm inviting you to participate in this year's I Love My Neighborhood poster contest. This year's theme is I Am Part of My Neighborhood. The contest is open to all students in Glendale grades kindergarten through 6th. It is a great way to show pride in your neighborhood and learn more about what you can do to keep Glendale clean, beautiful, and graffiti-free year-round. Ask your teacher about it and find out if your class will be participating. If not, you can enter it on your own. Contact the Neighborhood Services Office at 818-551-6933 and let them know you want to enter this year's I Love My Neighborhood poster contest, and they'll give you all the information you need to get started. All entries are due to Neighborhood Services by February 8, 2012. That's all for now. I'll look forward to seeing you at the 2012 I Love My Neighborhood Poster Contest Award Ceremony.
Բարև ձեզ, ես Թանյա Գրիգորյանն եմ Glendale Հրշեջ կայանից։ Երբ էր վերջին անգամը, որ ծուխ գտնող գործիքը փորձել եք, որ տեսնեք եթե աշխատում է կամ ոչ։ Արդյոք պատրաստ եք ձեր ընտանիքը տեղահանելու արտակարգ դեպքի ժամանակ։ Ունեք կրակ հանգչելու գործիք։ Ոչ ոք չի կարող կանխատեսնել կրակի դեպքի պատահար, որ տոների ժամանակ հաճախ են պատահում։ Սկսեք ձեր տոնական եփելը ու պատրաստությունները մաքուր գազ օջախով։ Մի հագվեք լայն եւ թուլիկ հագուստներ եփելու ժամանակ։ Այս խորհուրդները կօգնեն ունենալ ապահով տոնական մթնոլորտներ ձեր ընտանիքում։ Ուրախ օրեր ունենաք Glendale Fire Department-ից։
Good evening and welcome to the Glendale City Council meeting for December 20th, 2011. I will call the meeting to order, and could you give us a roll call, please?
Council members Manukian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Quintero. Weaver.
Here.
Mayor Friedman.
Today's flag salute will be led by Councilmember Najarian.
Thank you. Please rise and face the flag. Repeat after me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shall we pray? As we enter into this holy time of year, we ask for your continued blessings and that you keep us reminded of the reason for the season. We are thankful for the safe return of our armed forces and ask that they be duly rewarded for protecting our freedom. Keep them embraced in your loving care. Finally, we ask that you serve as a guide to our council in all of their considerations. Amen.
Thank you. Can we have your report, please?
The agenda for the December 20, 2011 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Thursday, December 15, 2011 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. The mayor is out of town, therefore I'll be leading this session. Are there any presentations and appointments? No. And City Council or staff comments? Mr. Weaver.
Just the one, the rose float, if you want to decorate yet, we probably had close to 300 students, adults already working on the float. We pick it up again on December the 26th. You go online and sign in at Glendale Rose Float 2012.ivolunteer.com. And you can log into our database. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Staff? Yes.
Mr. Manukian, what we would like to do, please, is take off calendar item 5D, which is Director of Community Services and Parks, Mountain Dew Trail and Catalina Verdugo Trail Construction Project at the Glendale Sports Complex, and it will be coming back at a later date. We don't have a date for that at this time.
Okay, very good. That would be under item 5 for consent item. Could you read that into the record, please?
I'm sorry.
Read item 5 into the
Item
record.
5D, Director of Community Services and...
5.
Oh, 5 is... Oh, consent calendar items A through K minus D. The following are routine and may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before motion is proposed.
Thank you. I have speakers on 5C and on to the last one, I believe. C, D, E,
I'll move the balance.
F, G, I, and K. So,
All of them?
yeah, except for H.
I'll move H,
H, A, and B.
H, A, and B.
Okay. Roll call for those, please.
I'm sorry. Councilmember Najarian.
Yes.
Weaver.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Manukian.
Yes. Could you read 5C into the record, please?
At item 5C, Director of Public Works regarding Brand Library and Art Center renovation project, spec number 3447. At 5C1 is a resolution adopting plans and spec and directing the city clerk to advertise for bids.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcia. What is the policy of the mayor in terms of speaking on these items?
Sure. The mayor's policies, as the current mayor, she usually gives 3 minutes, but
Okay.
that's the mayor's discretion.
Okay, thank you. We'll allow 3 minutes. Mr. Allen?
Unless you're asking if it's the same speaker who's requesting to speak on 6 items, I think the mayor sometimes exercises some discretion and combines the time period. That's my memory of the mayor's policy.
3 minutes, please.
Well, thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and council, staff. The item really, there's no urgency for this item, and I think it's something that should be left over until next year when our new city manager is here. I think that he may have other issues. He may wish to vet this information more, and certainly 2 weeks isn't going to make any difference on a $7 million expenditure. So I would really think that this council should hold this over and until the new city manager's here. Thank you. I'm Barry Allen.
Thank you.
I'll move 5C.
I have a question. Let me raise that question. With three of us here, Mr. Garcia, what is the number of votes that need to pass?
Councilman Najarian, it's the majority of the quorum, so 2 of the 3 votes would be necessary.
There's a majority of the quorum.
Yes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion on this item. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Okay.
Mr. If you'd give me a minute, Mr. Allen, you have turned in a card for 5D, which is taken off calendar.
I understand that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Could you read 5E into the record, please?
At item 5E, Director of Public Works regarding Central Avenue Wastewater Capacity Improvement Project. At 5E1 is a motion awarding a construction contract to Williams Pipeline Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $1,806,976.18, including contingency, and rejecting all other bids.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and staff, once again, I see that there is no urgency for the Council to authorize the spending of $1.8 million that cannot wait until the next council meeting at which the new city manager should be here. And I believe that he may wish to look at this differently than the previous city manager did. And I think that he deserves that sort of recognition. Thank you. I'm Barry Allen.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I'll move 5E1 and 2.
Second.
There's a motion and second. No further discussion. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 5F, Director of Public Works regarding maintenance of traffic signals and other traffic-related devices. 5F1 is a motion amending contract with Republic ITS, Inc. to provide 2 one-year extensions at a fee not to exceed $791,200 per year and a total contract amount not to exceed $3,832,500.
Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, staff. Once again, I wish to suggest that this be held over until the new city manager can be here and properly evaluate this type of a contract. There should be metrics under that the public should be aware of, and so should he. And at a total contract, multi-million-dollar contract, I see no urgency, and I don't think anybody here sees any urgency, and we would question why this has become such an urgent matter to take it up before the new city manager is here and will be here in 2 weeks. Thank you. I'm Barry Allen.
Thank you. On this item, I do remember we work in conjunction with the City of Burbank for lights, for traffic lights. Is this cost our share of the contract, or is this cost shared?
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, in 2008, when we bid the original contract, we separated ourselves from the city of Burbank and went out to bid and awarded this particular contract at that time, which was a 3-year with 2 one-year extensions.
Okay. So this $3.8 million is a total for a system.
That was the total amount originally approved by the council in 2008. We simply didn't include in the motion at that time the language for the 1-year extension. So that's all we're asking for here. The dollar amounts are exactly the same as approved in 2008.
And just curious, by separating from the City of Burbank's maintenance for traffic lights, did we generate any efficiencies or savings for the city? Or is it costing us more?
Both.
So it's costing us more?
No.
Okay.
Both, that we realized some efficiencies in different types of services, and our costs are lower.
Very good. Was there a motion for this?
Yes, I'll move 5F1 with the notice to everybody. These consent items have been working their way through the system. There's nothing urgency about it. It's been working its way through the system, and it happens to be here tonight for our votes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for the discussion. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan.
Yes. Next item at 5G.
At item 5G, Director of Public Works regarding Orange Line Development Authority's second and third amended joint exercise of powers agreement. At 5G1 is a resolution ratifying the second amendment and authorizing the third amended joint exercise of powers agreement.
Okay. Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. This one doesn't have much to do with the new city manager. However, I have some questions relative to the fact that this government agency and other government agencies have done nothing other than create a new burden on the taxpayers. And one of the other things that I have a difficult time with this particular project is that the board itself can set its own pay. And there's a problem with that. And right now, I think it's $100 a meeting per attendee of whatever group that is doing it. And then we're going to see the costs continue. Now, I don't believe that I have ever heard a real report from the member who sits on this dais, who also sits on that new joint powers. I don't think I've heard any reports relative to what this has done for the investment that the city has made. Now, I believe certainly that there are reasons for joint powers, but I think that this one is just a little bit far-fetched, and I think it's something that we need to take a look at, even though it's a few $1,000s. But I think it's time that we should start looking at saving some money. I'm Barry Allen. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Yes.
The only thing that I'd like to say, Council Member Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan, is that Frank Quintero is the council member that sits on that board, and he has, at a number of different occasions up at this dais, made reports regarding sitting on the board. So I just wanted to make sure that the record is clear about that.
Thank you. And could you, could you give me a report on the status of Orange Line or someone? Because I'm not very familiar with it. That's why. Not now, just send me a
Mayor
report.
Pro Tem Menuchyan, I think it would be, I was just going to suggest, it would be best if we maybe put something together for you and sent it off to all council members as an update.
Mainly because I'm not very familiar with, with the project. Mr. Najarian?
Right, and when this issue came up last year, I believe, it was I who raised the objections to approving this because the stipend was open-ended, and it said it would be set at whatever rate the cities felt justifiable. And coupled that with some of the, how shall we say it, some of the unsettled business in some of those cities that are members of this JPA, Bell Gardens, Vernon, I think, a few other cities. I think we sent the message by not ratifying the membership. I think we sent them a message that they needed to nail down the per diem that the officers would be getting. And my understanding is that this does reflect that to the $100 a day. It could be changed, but would have to come back to the board, to the respective JPA members for approval. So I think $100 is a pretty standard rate for many of the different agencies. I don't know what the airport gets, but I think MTA is about, MTA I think is $150, Metrolink is $100, so this appears to be in line. And I know Mr. Zern will have some interesting discussions on what the Orange Line is doing. Being on the MTA and the Metrolink, I see a lot of their work, and a lot of it is done in the planning phases and addressing some of the high-speed rail issues. But I'll let Mr. Quintero and yourself, or whoever our liaison is, give a more full accounting as that.
Yeah, thank you.
Move 5G1.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan.
Yes. Item I, please.
At item 5I, Director of Community Services and Parks regarding landscape maintenance of GWP, fire, and general government contract facilities, spec number 3331. At 5I1 is a motion authorizing execution of an amendment to the existing 3-year contract with Parkwood Landscape Maintenance, Inc., extending the contract period to December 31, 2012, and increasing the contract amount by $293,900.47 plus $125,800 in contingency for a total not to exceed contract amount of $1,466,844.47.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. It's only cutting grass and some irrigation. I can't see why the costs have gone up. There's really little justification for something that should be able to be done by city staff. After all, it's only grass. And city staff does some of their own grass cutting, and I don't understand why these 66 firefighters we have, according to last week's report, can't cut some of their own grass. And I think this is another unnecessary expenditure of taxpayer funds. Thank you. I'm Barry Allen.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item?
I'll move 5I1.
Second.
I do have a question. The 1.466 is from the beginning of the period of the...
Jess Duran is going to come up from Community Services and Parks.
As I was reading this item, I was going to ask these questions.
Yes.
Anyways.
Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian, members of the City Council, the 1.466 includes an 8.5-month extension. This 3-year contract is set to expire on April 15th of 2012. And by then...
How long a contract was the original contract?
The original 3-year contract with contingencies was $1,047,000.
So it was 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
Okay. 3 years. And we're adding an additional $293,000 with $125,000 of contingency?
That's correct, to extend the contract to December 31st of 2012.
As I was reading the report, it said, did we overspend by $70,000? Is that correct?
We incurred additional costs above and beyond the original contingency amount, yeah.
Okay, and why did that happen? Why did we overspend? Don't you have to come to council for spending in addition to your contingency? How was that authorized?
It was...
Did anyone spend in addition to, anyone in the city spend in addition to the contingency that was approved?
The extra funds were incorporated in the respective departments' budget, so as long as the budget was there for additional expenditures, we didn't need to come back for additional appropriation.
Why are we increasing the amount of a contract by $294,000, and our contingency is $125,000? That's approximately 40%. Why do we have such a high contingency?
The projected contingency is based on our history with contracting for these services. But I think I'd like to call Mr. Panosian, who administers the contract, and he could probably answer this question in more detail.
The point comes to mind, if you need such a high contingency, why don't you just increase the contract amount and put a smaller contingency? It just makes logic sense to me.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian, members of council. The original contract, we estimated about 15% contingency. We assumed that would take us through all the expenses that we would anticipate. We underestimated what the additional work we're going to face. And having said that, your question is very well taken. By extending it for the amount of what we anticipate some of that work to be, we are binded to the contract for that amount. The contract currently we're going to increase only for $293,000. So the amendment will be for the 8.5-month extension and the $73,000 approximate over expenditures, some of the costs, emergency work that we had to conduct. Therefore, we want to only sign an amendment for that amount to see us through. However, we do anticipate some costs of additional approximate $125,000, $135,000. We believe by keeping that in the contingency fund, we're not tied to the contractor that we are bound to pay him that amount by the end of the term of the contract. Therefore, by keeping it in contingency, each department, as they see fit for the projects and available funds, will be able to dip into the contingency amount for the contract, yet pay for it through their funds if available funds are there.
Okay. Are you including the $73,000 over budget into the $125,000 contingency, or how are you going to account for the overage?
It's including the $293,000, sir. If you look at the monthly expenditure of 8.5 months times $25,000 and some
that
change,
makes the contingency percentage even higher.
It does make the contingency for percentage higher. We're estimating at the end of the 4 years, you'll look at about 25% estimated contingency of some of the work. Some things that we have the contractor do now could have potentially been done with some of our staff that we have in-house. With some of the vacancies, we're relying more and more on the contractor to do work in those facilities, at the fire facilities, GW facilities, the medians. Therefore, for the next cycle, we definitely will come to you with a higher expectation of contingency to ask for that for the next bidding cycle.
If you overspent your contingency last time, what makes you think that this contingency is enough, or you will not overspend it now without any additional authorization from council?
We actually have been a lot more liberal with these numbers that were plugged in here. The original expenditure of $15,000 that we plugged, 15% of the $125,000 took us way beyond. So what we did this time is took the 30-month expenditure from April 15th until October, where we kind of did the cutoff line, and that was approximately a 30-month period. So what we did is took that 30-month period and, assuming what the expenditure was, started estimating half of that for the next 15 months, technically for contingency October until the end of December next year. And so we estimated based on those expenditures. Therefore, we are somewhat confident that we should be able to meet all unanticipated costs within that contingency amount.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Question?
Yeah.
Did Parkwood get involved in the cleanup of from the winds?
Anything that is within their areas of responsibility, yes, they had to clean up. It's part of their deal.
Understood, but did they, to your knowledge?
Yes, they have. I can actually...
But it's not in these costs.
It's not in these costs. It becomes part of the original cost. And we did not ask them to do additional work for... I'm sorry.
I know, but that's going to go into the contingency amount. You are going to have an increased number because of that. Or if you had an earthquake, then you'd be eating into it there, right? So we'll see it down the line when you come in.
But to answer the original question, I guess now that I understand it better, we have not asked them to do any additional work from the windstorms. And so we haven't incurred any additional costs from the windstorms on
Nothing.
Parkwood.
The city did it all.
We did it all. City staff, public works, streets, parks, we took care of our own.
Good.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I moved the item, didn't I?
Is there a motion and second?
Yeah.
Could I request that any overages on contingencies be reported to council, please?
Yes, and we shouldn't have overages on contingencies, and it's not a practice that occurs.
Or on any contracts that goes over.
Right.
But I
Contract
understand.
plus the contingency.
Absolutely.
I understand why you didn't put it in the basic, because a contractor think he's going to get it. Keeping it in the contingency allows you to borrow from the reserve that he doesn't know about, but you do.
But it's a point well taken. It's not something that should occur, and it has happened, and we're coming to get approval at this time, but we will definitely keep
Okay,
that in
thank you
mind.
very much. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan.
Yes, next item, please.
At item 5J, Director of Community Services and Parks regarding proposed grant application to the Los Angeles County Community and Senior Services Department for the Elderly Nutrition Program 2012 through 2016. At 5J1 is a resolution approving the submittal of the grant application.
Thank you. I don't have a card on this item. We should have included it with the vote on the consent calendar, so if we can
Move
move.
5J1.
Second?
It's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
and Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan.
Yes, next item, please. At K.
Item 5K, General Manager of GWP regarding extension of fiber optic cable in North Glendale from the Glorietta Substation to Cooks Canyon Pump Station, spec number 3479. At 5K1, resolution approving the extension and adopting GWP specs.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. You have a card.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I'm Barry Allen. Once again, I wish to suggest that this is another issue that should wait and could wait, and there's no urgency to get this done for the new city manager to take his position. He may have other suggestions. He may wish to vet this differently, and I think that you certainly owe him that type of respect. Thank you. I'm Barry Allen.
Thank you. Any discussion on
Move
this item?
5K1.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion on the item? Is there an issue?
I just want to point out that as much as we respect the city manager and his opinion, the ultimate policymakers are tonight it's the three of us sitting on the council, so on the dais. In case anyone at home is confused, and despite rumors to the contrary, and despite the excellent job that city managers have done in the past and will do so in the future, that the buck stops here.
We're still in charge?
Dais. We're still in charge.
Okay.
Ignore the man behind the curtain. We are still in charge.
Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian.
Yes.
Weaver.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Manukian.
Yes. Next item at 6, please.
Item 6 are oral communications, and this would be the 3-minute event announcement portion.
Okay, I have one card for the announcement. Stuart Biles. We don't allow alcoholic beverages.
Only if you don't drink it, right?
This is 5 minutes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Stuart Biles. I am one of the directors and the vintner for the Stone Barn Vineyard Conservancy, which is maintaining the vineyard at Duke-Majan Wilderness Park. I'm also the vice president of the Historical Society of the Crescenta Valley, which is our sponsoring group, that is our umbrella group. And the reason I'm here tonight, I'd like to present some of our product to the council, who is in your benign oversight at the proverbial 30,000-foot elevation. It's also on behalf of the loyal cadre of volunteers who help us at the park. There's between 20 to 35 of us who have put in over 350 hours this last year and the previous years. But we want to present this. May I approach the dais, or am I going to hand this off to somebody? Okay.
I'll make sure it gets...
And I'm sorry, I also didn't bring any glasses tonight, so... Well, of course, now, there is an issue of that. You can, of course, if you can't contain yourself, you can taste it right away. But I would suggest that for the more magnificent taste to come, that you let it age until after August next year, or even further up from that. If you don't mind, just a couple more items here. The staff at the park and the Parks Department is so great. The previous staff, current staff, they have a vision for the park up there in Dunsmore Canyon, and we're very proud to be part of that and very happy to be able to make programs to help to further the park, as well as talk about the history of it. And in a way, this having the vineyard up there that the city has put is evocative historically on so many levels. It's not only evocative of the Le Ménager family, the French immigrants who started the vineyard up there in the 1880s and then later built the barn, but it's also for the vineyards that once were all up and down the valleys. And in a very distant way, it's also an homage to the Verdugos. Jose Maria Verdugo, outside of the mission system, the mission vineyards and winemaking, he is the one who started the first privately owned vineyard in all of California in the 1780s and the 1790s. So in a sense, in an oblique way, you can say that the California wine industry that is world-renowned and world-class all started in Glendale. So with that, I'll give this over here.
Jeez. Another
Thank
first.
you. We learn something new every day.
Another first for Glendale.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What is next, please?
Mr. Mayor
Yes.
Pro Tem, I've sprung something on the police department. I don't know if they're quite ready to address the issue now. If they're not, maybe we can reserve a placeholder for their DUI checkpoint program that's going forth. And
Absolutely.
I know they're probably, and I apologize,
I see them
grabbed our
scrambling.
sergeant at arms and said, "Are you ready to speak?"
They both left.
And so they'd like to speak with a little more information, unlike us, who we speak sometimes and wing it. But if you could reserve a spot for them when they are prepared
Absolutely.
to address that, I would appreciate that.
Thank you very much. That's a good point. Next item, please. That's 7.
And item 7A, 7 is adoption of ordinances. 7A, ordinance relating to the adjustment of city council salaries to become effective April 2013, offered on December 13, 2011 by Councilmember Weaver.
Thank you. I have indications from the city attorney who wishes to speak on this item.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Have
Pro
you turned
Tem.
in a card?
Just one item. I misspoke earlier when I said all items require only majority of the quorum. Ordinances and budget amendments and resolutions of appropriation require 3 votes. So this item before you will require 3 votes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have no cards on this item. Mr. Weaver?
I'll move 7A.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan.
Yes. Next item at 8.
8A, Fire Chief regarding fire communications computer-aided dispatch servers, CAD. At 8A1 is resolution dispensing with formal request for proposal process and authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with Northrop Grumman Systems Corp. to purchase servers for the existing CAD system for a total not to exceed amount of $451,425. And at 8A2 is a resolution appropriating additional funding of $26,425 to provide funds for the installation.
Thank you very much. Do we have a staff report on this?
Yes, we do. Chief Scoggins from the Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan and members of the City Council. Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief. This is to start the process to replace our servers in Verdugo Dispatch. The servers that we're talking about replacing were purchased in 2005, and they're coming to the end of their life. They actually have a 7-year life, so we want to start the process to replace the servers in Verdugo. As you know, Verdugo serves 12 agencies, between 90 and 100 pieces of equipment, and all the movements and different things that take place each and every day.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the fire chief?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Scoggins. I do have a card, Mr. Allen. 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, but after listening to Mr. Najarian extol his knowledge as a policymaker, I know that he has certainly vetted all of this, and he no longer needs to rely on any staff reports or anything else, because he, along with the other 2 of you, and the 2 who are absent, are the policymakers, so we needn't worry about anything else. So any of the policies that have come up in the past are as well from you, the pensions, the payroll, and things like that have...
Could you address the item, please?
Yes, that is the... and
leave the humor for Jay Leno, perhaps, Mr.
What's
Allen.
that?
Leave the humor for Jay Leno.
Najarian.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I have no other cards on this item. Is there a motion?
I'll move 8A, 1 and 2.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Regarding the CAD system, isn't the CAD system also part of the engineering? Is it jointly used, or?
Mayor Pro Tem, it's two different CAD systems.
Okay.
One's computer-aided drafting, one's computer-aided dispatch.
Okay, all right. Maybe we should name them something else. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Menuchyan.
Yes. We do have a hearing at 9A. Could you read that item into the record, please?
At 9A, Director of Community Development regarding intention to levy and collect assessments in the Adams Square Business Improvement District for calendar year 2012 based on the annual report and extension of the terms of the management agreement. At 9A1 is a resolution confirming intention to levy and collect assessments. At 9A2 is a motion extending the terms of the management agreement for the calendar year 2012.
Thank you. Do we have a report on this item?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian, members of the council, will go to Phil Lanza Fame, Chief Assistant Director of Community Development.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council, this is the second part of a process that you started 2 weeks ago. You adopted a resolution of intention to levy an assessment. This is the final action. As was noted by the clerk, the second piece of this is to extend the management agreement so the Merchants Association will manage those assessments. In total, it's about $5,000. The merchants have asked to assess themselves, and this is the final action to do that.
Thank you very much. I do have a card on this item. Barry Allen. I'll open the public hearing.
I'm Barry Ammon. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Interestingly enough, my comments earlier about the new city manager, but yet on this particular document, you have a place for the new city manager to sign. And this document is here, and of course the contract starts the first of the year before he's actually in office. So shouldn't that be the interim city manager, a very qualified person to sign that? Is this an appropriate thing? Is he going to be signing it after it starts on January the 1st? And so that was my issue regarding this particular document, because it is set for the new city manager to sign, and his signature is required on this document. Thank you.
Thank you.
The city manager or his designee signs the documents, and that would be once Mr. Ochoa starts January 3rd, it would be him or his designee, which could be myself, Yasmin Beers, as the assistant city manager, or John Tektalian, the assistant to the city manager. Not sure if there's any other further questions on this.
Okay.
I'll move the item.
Second.
We'll close the public hearing.
Second.
There's any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian.
Yes.
Weaver.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian.
Yes. And we'll move into the oral communications. I neglected to recognize Mr. Nigerian for the DUI. You chose to speak on this item?
Officer Salonen available? And I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but I'd just like you to announce to the residents of Glendale over this holiday season that the Glendale Police Department, in conjunction with other law enforcement agencies, are conducting some special DUI checkpoints, and if you could let us know about that.
And tell us exactly where they are.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian and council members. My name is Officer Tino Solomon with the Glendale Police Department. I just wanted to remind everyone, drinking and driving, it's not a good thing to do. You can go to jail, hurt someone. We will be out and enforcing over the holiday seasons. We're going to have checkpoints, roving DUI saturation, and a lot of other enforcement strategies that we have to try to limit and reduce the injuries and the problems that are caused by drinking and driving.
And there's plenty of taxi companies available in the city.
Absolutely.
And in the surrounding areas, that should you feel that you've had too much to drink, call a taxi. Many bars and restaurants, as I understand it, over the holiday season will even drive you home, if you will, and give you a return ride the next day to pick up your car.
Whatever you can do to avoid getting anyone hurt from drinking and driving or getting arrested for it is a wonderful thing to consider doing. It's a lot less expensive to just pay $20 for a taxi versus getting locked up for it. So we are asking for the public's assistance. If you do see someone that you do feel is drunk and driving, call 911 and just report where the driver was.
And don't forget, when you're talking about costs, don't forget how much the attorneys cost. Attorneys
Absolutely.
are $2,000, $3,000, sometimes $4,000 for these things. You're dragged through court. It's a mark on your record, adverse to any employment you may seek in any other government sector. So it's a incredibly improper thing to do. And this season, we're out looking for the violators. So.
Absolutely. With a lot of grants and things that have come into the city, we are proactively enforcing DUI violations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And remember, drinking and driving don't mix. So we'll go to the oral communications.
At item 6 are oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The city manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and report.
Thank you. First speaker is Don Mason.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Manukian and other council members and staff and audience. My name is Don Mazen, M-A-Z-E-N. Live in Glendale for 30 years. I'm a retired newspaper journalist, and best of all, I'm a proud Christian since I was 15 years old. And that's the reason I'm here tonight, is to try to persuade the City Council to bring back the Christian prayer at the regular meeting of the City Council. You started it, you had a regular Christian prayer, and then you changed it, so now it's a secular prayer. But anyway, I'm here to try and persuade you. I wish the full choir council would be here tonight. As we know, I think most of you know, that the United States of America is a Christian country. It was founded under Judeo-Christian principles. And when you look at the 300 million population in America, the plurality of Christians are very high ranking. There's more Christian people in our country than any other religious group. I want to mention that does the council know that 52 of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were committed Christians? The other 4 signers were non-Christian, but they read the Bible and believed its contents. In the nation's capital, Washington Memorial, at the very top of the memorial is the aluminum cap, and on it is 2 Latin words, Laus Deo, and that means praise be to God. We know that there's other religious inscriptions on other materials that we use. In the currency, we have the "In God We Trust," and it's quite evident to me that the council, when they give the Pledge of Allegiance, they do say "under God." So I'm saying the council is only about halfway as far as returning to the Christian aspect. Patrick Henry, he was noted as the firebrand of the American Revolutionary War. He was a committed Christian, and I want to read what he said back when. It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded not by religionists, but by Christians, not on religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. For that reason alone, people of other faiths have been afforded freedom of worship here. Thomas Jefferson, by the way, was named the chairman of the American Bible Society, and this was action taken by the Continental Congress right after they had created the Declaration of Independence. They named Jefferson as the first chairman of the Bible Society. And Mr. Jefferson wrote this on the front of his, it says, well-worn Bible. I am a real Christian, that is to say, a disciple of the doctrines of Jesus Christ. I have little doubt that our whole country will soon be rallied to the unity of our Creator. And then in 1821, President John Quincy Adams had this to say: The highest glory of the American Revolution was this: it connected in one perfect bond the principles of civil government with the principles of Christianity. I want to make a comment that when the city clerk gives the invocation, he doesn't say who he's praying to. And to me, that weakens what he's saying, because it isn't a Christian prayer. And let's see, anything else here? Oh, I think it was last week or a week before last, you had a minister here from the First Baptist Church of
Thank you,
Glendale.
Mr. Mason. Thank you, Mr. Mason. Your time's up.
Pardon me?
Your time's up. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Your time is...
Time is up.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you very
I
much.
wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Barry Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and of course staff. City documents, I think, since we've heard from the policymaker, that city documents are always accurate. I was looking at last week's city document showing that the fire department only has 66 sworn personnel. That seemed awfully interesting to the fact that nobody at the council, the policymakers who set the policy as to the number of people, caught that. But let's look at something that's much more important. Let's take a look at some of the numbers that I found in the CAFR. Once you hear these numbers, it's time for you to decide how you will make the policy to resolve these issues of unfunded liabilities and the fact that we are not properly funding the claims fund, the pension fund, the retiree benefit fund, and more. Here's some of those numbers right out of the award-winning CAFR. According to the CAFR, there is a net of $1.655 billion in assets, of which 81% are fixed or non-liquid, leaving only about $204 million to cover liabilities, which include take-or-pay contracts, contingent liabilities in the amount of $505 million, with additional operational costs of $50 million in 2010 and 11. Couple that to the unfunded pension liability shown for the fiscal year of 2010 of $205 million. Add to that almost $4 million of other unfunded post-employment benefits as of 2009. We don't know what they are for 2010 and 11. Then there's $372 million in bonds, not including interest payments. Fortunately, the claims fund is only short $47 million. It looks like the city government's living on cash flow. If any of these bonds or take-or-pay contracts default, the whole house of cards may come tumbling down. Meanwhile, you just voted yourself a pay raise while you refuse to cut payroll, benefits, post-employment costs, and to reduce the number of managers. It's time that you start listening to those people not on the city payroll and encourage more people to take an interest in the fiscal areas of government instead of making their council appearances uncomfortable. One more thing to show that the liquid assets are dwindling. The Treasurer invests all available liquid assets in various funds. The liquid assets lost $56 million from fiscal year ending 2008 to fiscal year ending 2011. And by the way, join us at the Vanguardians Community Forum Thursday at 8 a.m. at 300 West Glen Oaks, Suite 303, where I will share more. And you'll have an opportunity to discuss this and actually see the numbers in the CAFR that the City Council has set the policy on. Thank you. I'm Barry Allen.
Thank you very much. Patrick Masihi.
Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian and members of the City Council, my name is Patrick Massey. I'm a Glendale resident. Tonight I have 6 questions to ask our City Attorney, and I hope either tonight or in future meetings he can answer these questions. And I will start with the first one. Does Neighborhood Services conduct racial profiling against certain ethnicities, races, by making false violation claims against them? Question 1. Question 2. Has Neighborhood Services ever stopped a fully permitted re-roofing project in Glendale and falsely accused the owner of not having a permit? Question 3. Do city employees wear name tags while in the field? Are city employees required to identify themselves when asked by a member of the public as they work in the field? Is a permit required for fixing roof leaks by installing new shingles and tar in certain places? Could you define the difference between re-roofing and fixing leaks? And my last question, are city employees allowed to campaign on local issues during work hours? I want to wish all of you a happy holiday season and wish you the best for 2012. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Mike Mohill.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Mike Mohill.
Timer, please. Thank you.
My name is Mike Mohill. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Manukian, council members, and the viewing audience. My name is Mike Mohill, longtime resident of Glendale. I got a letter in the mail from the GWP this week, and they're going to ask us to fill out the form or accept what they're going to do to our water rates. I'm here tonight to ask the people in the good audience, fill out a form, send in mail, and tell them you don't want water rates increases. A recent letter sent by the GWP to Glendale residents advised the people that rate increase had to be implemented because of the following reasons. Look on the screen, folks. The pensions. That's why the rates are here. Those are the numbers that you can read for nice and clear. Christopher Gray, $180,000 annual pension for life. I don't think he was over 60 when he retired, was he? Because of the depletion of cash reserves, they want to increase the rates because of operating costs for the utility has gone up. Repair and replace infrastructure such as pipes, pumps, and other essentials. Metropolitan Water District keep raising our water rates. The public has heard these same words repeatedly for many years. GWP rates will be raised incrementally to 15% by the year 2015. This will be a 50.8% increase in water rates since 2007. Look at the numbers, folks. This is what we're paying right now. Mr. Allen talked about the CAFRA. There it is, right there on the screen. November 2010, during the drought period, Glendale residents saved over 18% in water. Then the Glendale GWP City Council raised our water rates 3.8% as a reward. Thank you, council members. The real reason for these rate increases are to cover, number one, squandered millions of dollars in water bond money, leaving our children to pay our debt. Bond obligations, $372 million, not including interest payments. Unfunded pension liabilities for fiscal year 2010, $205 million. Unfunded post-employment benefits as of fiscal year ending 2009, $103 million. Unnecessary $70 million investment in smart meters, issues of health, privacy, and security still unknown to the experts. Glendale residents will become the guinea pigs for the smart meter industry. Unfunded medical benefits promised to retirees is $103 million, and you can read that number in the Glendale News Press for tomorrow morning. I have a copy of it here. As suggested by city activists and Councilman Rafi Manukian, we need to return to the general fund about $21 million that was illegally transferred from the Glendale Water and Power, GWP, to help pay for wages and pensions. There they are on the wall, folks. That's a partial list. We need to send a clear message, folks, to the GWP and the City Council. And write to the GWP that we, I underline the word we, do not want water rate hike. If these new rate increases go up, we will not forget which council members voted for these increases. Now, let me start with number 7, James Rez, a former city manager here. He's collecting right now $137,000. He used to live in my neighborhood. He went north to Alaska. Where else? William Bailey, number 8, $135 million. $1,000, I'm sorry. Number 10, James Swinford, $130,000. Number 11, Michael Post, $124,000. And folks, this is for life. The life expectancy today is over 75 years of age. Just think of the numbers I showed here last week when a firefighter making $100,000 could be receiving $90,000 pension tonight. And he has at least 25 more years to live. That is the new millionaire. Social Security recipients in 2010 maxed out at $28,000.
Thank you, Mr. Mohill. Celeste Sauter, next speaker.
I don't have a specific
Your name for the record.
I'm sorry, my name is Celeste Satter.
Thank you.
I contacted Mr. Mohill today because I had read his letter to the editor in the Crescenta Valley Weekly talking about some of the problems associated with the wireless meters, the smart meters. I called him because I happen to be an electrosensitive. I'm one of those people that's affected by the meters, and he asked me to come and speak to you and let you know how they affect me. First of all, a little bit nervous here. Sorry. I'm by training an aerospace engineer. I went to MIT. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in aerospace engineering. I worked at JPL for 24 years. I was just laid off this year as a mission architect or systems engineer, someone who designs spacecraft systems. So I'm an engineer by training. I'm familiar with electromagnetic fields and things like that, so I'm not a crackpot. I started having these problems with the electric fields about 2003. Previously, I had a sensitivity to fluorescent lights and things like that, and wireless phones, and I would avoid those. Anyway, so 2003, they got new computers at work, and I started experiencing heart palpitations and shortness of breath and stuff with the new computers. I tried everything to fix the problem, and finally discovered mu metal, which is what this stuff is. He asked me to bring some. Show you. It's a nickel iron alloy that's used for shielding sensitive electronics. It dampens out magnetic fields, and that actually dampens down the fields around the computers enough that I could actually work. And as you can imagine, as an engineer, I need my computer to do my job. Let me see. Cell phones have been a problem since day one, since cell phones started. They give me really bad headaches. The new 4G phones must be at a different frequency because those attack my heart directly, give me heart palpitations. Apparently these, or at least the wireless meters, the smart meters I have on my house, that Edison installed like a year ago, must be on the same frequency as the 4G networks. I haven't researched it because they give me heart palpitations. I was able to partially shield my smart meter. It's on the west side of my garage, and on the inside of the garage wall where the meter's on the outside, I put some mu metal, and it dampens it down enough that I can be in my living room for extended periods of time and not get heart palpitations. But prior to that, I was getting heart palpitations from my meter in my living room, and that's like 30 feet away. Actually, probably more than that from the meter. So I just wanted to make you folks aware that this is a real phenomenon. It really does affect people. I've read up on the internet that supposedly between about 3 and 5% of the population is actually affected by these things. So I hope you'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions?
Bill Weissman. That's my last card.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian, council members, city staff, and the public. My name is Bill Weissman from far north Glendale, California. And I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I heard some misinformation that I feel the need to correct. And it was the annual misinformation we get from Mr. Mason regarding his wishful thinking that America is a Christian nation. You know, America is a nation with a lot of Christians in it, but it is not a Christian nation. And I thank God for that, speaking as an atheist, because I want to live in a country whose Constitution guarantees the rights of all people to practice their religion or to practice no religion at all without interference from the government. And I think some of the history we heard was a little skewed, because it's actually a fact that many of the founding fathers who wrote our Constitution and Declaration of Independence were deists. And deists don't believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ. Deists don't believe in a God that interferes in human affairs. So any alleged historical underpinnings for the false notion that America is a Christian nation are exactly that. And that's just what I wanted to talk about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was my last card. Let's see, what is next? Written, do we have any comments from
new business
council members? We have new business.
I'd like to move the city attorney be and hereby is authorized to initiate legal action in the Supreme Court of Los Angeles County. The name of the action, the other parties, and the nature of the action shall be disclosed to any person upon inquiry once the action has commenced. The city attorney is further authorized to incur any and all expenses necessary in connection with said matter.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian.
Yes.
And I would like to move city attorney be and hereby is authorized to enter into a retainer agreement with Edward Zappia of the Zappia Law Firm to provide legal counsel in connection with litigation to be filed on behalf of the city of Glendale in the Superior Court of Los Angeles County. The name of the action, the other parties, and the nature of the action shall be disclosed to any person upon inquiry once the action has commenced. The retainer agreement shall, in addition to other provisions, contain a fee cap for providing the legal services.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Manoukian.
Yes. Any other comments? I would like to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Mr.
Happy
Mason.
New Year.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays. And if you don't celebrate anything, happy something.
Vacation. Happy vacation.
And Happy New Year. And remember the issue that Mr. Najarian brought up in terms of DUI. Don't drink and drive. Be safe. And we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.